Going to a totally different thing. Just happens to be next on your pie chart. Set builder and interval notation. Set builder notation is this notation right here where they write it as a set. Interval notation is a way to write that exact same thing in a shortened form. Because in math, sometimes they like to shorten things up. So the first thing they're going to have you do is graph this. If it has the equal to bar underneath, we use the filled in dot on our number. If it doesn't have the equal to bar underneath, we use the open circle. So, x is, this is read x such that, and this is the rule for x. Negative 2 is less than or equal to x, which is less than 0. In other words, the x is between these two numbers. I am equal to the negative 2, so I use the filled in dot. But I'm not equal to the 0, so I put an open circle around the 0. I'm then just going to shade between those two dots because the x is in the middle of those two dots. Okay? Now, in interval notation, what you're going to do is write down the starting number and the ending number. The negative 2, comma 0. The end marks are going to tell you if it's equal to that value or not. If it has an equal to, you're going to put a bracket on that end. If it doesn't have the equal to, you're going to use a parenthesis. So we were equal to the negative 2. I'm going to put a bracket to tell me that's what we're equal to. But we're not equal to the 0, so we put a parenthesis on that. So once you get into higher math, they use this notation instead of this notation because that's a lot shorter to write than that is. It means the exact same thing. So number 11 here, we're doing the set x such that 1 is less than x, which is less than 7 on my number line. So what kind of end mark should I put on my 1?
Circle.
So open circle. And how about on the 7?
7, open 7.
Open circle on the 7. And the x is between those, so we put a line between them, right? On Alex, you just click in the middle, it'll shade that whole thing. So my interval went from what to what? The starting number was at 1, and it went to 7. So my interval went from 1 to 7. Now what kind of end marks do I have to have? On the 1 I'm going to have a parenthesis, and on the 7 a parenthesis, because I'm not equal to either of those two ends. Okay? Now those are the cases where x is between your two numbers, but sometimes we just have a greater than or a less than. So if we look at number 12. Number 12 just says that x is the set that x is greater than negative 1. So x is greater than negative 1. What kind of end mark should I have on my negative 1?
Just 0.
The open circle, right?
Open circle.
And I'm shading all the numbers greater than negative 1, so that means I'm just going to click on the right side of that, and everything on the right side is shaded. Now on your number line, way down off in the imaginary distance is infinity, and this end is negative infinity. So since I read my graph from left to right, I am starting at negative 1, and I'm going towards infinity. I never stop, right?
Yeah.
Using my interval notation, on my negative 1, I'm going to have...
You're going to have a parenthesis.
I'm going to have a parenthesis because I'm not on negative 1. On anything with an infinity, I'm also going to have a parenthesis because I never can really be on infinity. So if you have a negative infinity or a positive infinity, it's always going to have a parenthesis by it, not a bracket. So the only time you're using that bracket is when you have the filled in dot. Otherwise, you use a parenthesis. Okay? This is a good one to look at. Linda's note sheets, if you bring up Linda's notes, it's going to have a little table with all the different ways you could see it and what end marks you should have. So you might want to go under the resources and print that one out, or when you get to it, just print out Linda's notes so you have that little table.